Today on the Film and Whiskey podcast, we are wrapping up season number 10, Brad. We're finally getting to take a break. I can't wait. Oh, and we're also reviewing a whiskey. Brad, tell the folks about the whiskey we're trying today.
Today, we are going to be drinking Bardstown Bourbon Company's Cascadia Garryana Oak Barrel Finish, a whiskey that I am very excited to try, Bob.
That's all ahead on Film and Whiskey.
Wasn't that delicious?
So good.
Your bill, ladies.
I got it.
No, I got it.
Seriously, I insist. I insisted first. Oh, don't be silly. You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome into the Film and Whiskey podcast. I'm Bob Book.
I'm Brad G.
And for the last time in season number 10, Brad, we are coming at you with another special bonus episode.
Bonus episode.
It's music to my ears every time you do it, man. Brad, we actually don't have that much on the agenda today. We can take our time.
The episode
is
is
going to
still
go for
going
an
to be
hour.
40 minutes.
Let's just be honest here. You know, it's funny because of all the things that I didn't pull up in prep for this episode, I did not pull up our bracket. And we only have 4 movies left. And I'm like scrambling to figure out what those 4 movies are. Folks, if you're joining us for the first, it would help me. Go ahead.
Yeah, we are looking at our final 4, Bob, for season 10. In the top left quadrant, we have the number 16 overall film, Star Wars, going against the number 5 overall film, Rear Window. On the right side of the bracket, we have the number 2 seed, 12 Angry Men, versus the number 3 seed, Casablanca. Bob, I think this is the first time we have 2 upsets in the final 4.
I mean, what can you say, Brad? We're getting more and more exciting in our old age, I guess. Folks, I was gonna intro this a little bit. If this is your first time joining us, as I said last time, why? Why is this your first time that you chose to join us? Because this is the 3rd bracket episode in season number 10. Every year, what we do is we watch 32 movies a season. At the end of the season, we put those movies into a madness-style bracket, and we start hacking away at that list until we come to the champion of each season. Now, we have arrived at our final 4 films, as Brad has just said. I believe the newest of which is Star Wars, right? Yeah, these are all 40s and 50s films except for Star Wars from 1977. So we're looking at some true classics of Hollywood here in our final 4. Also today, we're going to be reviewing a whiskey, and we have, I guess what you could call, Brad, the most prestigious film awards to give out, as we do every season.
Far and away. I don't think any other film awards get handed out in March, do they?
No. In fact, the funny thing is everybody's been complaining about how late the Oscars were this year. And we said, screw that. We're going to go 2 weeks after the Oscars, baby.
And we'll probably have
about the last awards given out.
We'll probably have about the same amount of viewers.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we're all just going to be streaming on YouTube eventually. So welcome to our brethren at the Oscars is what I'm saying here. Brad, I am popping the cork on our whiskey for the day. I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you want to dive into the whiskey first? Do we want to do it in between rounds? How would you like to do this?
Let's do the whiskey, man. I'm ready to drink.
This is a fresh pop. Okay. So I have not even remotely sniffed at this bad boy until right now. Brad gave the name of this. It is the Bardstown Bourbon Company Distillery Reserve Cascadia Garryana Oak. Now, Garryana is an interesting kind of oak that I've only ever experienced in, I think, one other whiskey, Brad. We tried a few whiskeys from Westland Whiskey a couple years ago, and I believe it's Westland that has a Garryana. And they've been doing it for a couple years, and it's always like their biggest release of the year. It costs $200. And now Bardstown's getting themselves in the game. As always, Bardstown is killing it with the packaging on their little samples that they send out, because we got this nice little I mean, if it didn't have information about whiskey on it, I would hang it in my child's. It looks like an Eric Carle Very Hungry Caterpillar book. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. That's a good call.
So here's the notes that Bardstown gives on this Garryana Cascadia blend. Garryana oak, native only to the Pacific Northwest, is as wild as the shrinking forests it calls home. Dense and fiercely rare. It can't be farmed or cut at will, but rather gathered only from fallen trees and sanctioned harvests. Its tight grain and rich sugars shape bold baking spice, caramelized oak, and a smoldering finish found nowhere else. That is some damn good marketing copy. I got to be honest with you, man.
I think we need to put a not for kids label on this episode.
I was going to say
the way you read that.
Its supple curves provide
smoldering finish.
So let's give some quick stats on this. It's 107.5 proof. It looks like it's a blend of 3 different whiskeys, two from Kentucky, 1 from Indiana, and they range from 8 years to 10 years in age. Let's get that out of the way now. Brad, I want to dive into this. You look like you have already gone ahead and just swigged the whole thing. So I'll let you give nosing notes while I stick my nose in this.
I think this is a really interesting nose. It has a lot of oak on it. Mm-hmm. There's a decent amount of caramel. And for me, it reminds me of like the sour candy apple suckers that have like caramel on the outside, but then it's, the sour apple on the inside. It kind of reminds me of one of those.
I like this. There's like one little funky note in there that I can't quite put my finger on. And at first it was like, maybe this is dill, and then it tipped into like, maybe it's because I like to pair dips because I'm in the Midwest. My wife makes like a pickle dip sometimes, and I associate it with like potato chips. Okay, we get it, Brad.
Pickle dip?
Do you not like pickles?
Pickles are one of the most disgusting things humans have ever created.
Gosh, dude. You have the palate of a child, dude. This is unbelievable.
That is not true, first off. Second off, pickles are gross, man. And if the juice touches any part of the burger bun, the entire thing is infected.
Your ability to derail my main point by latching onto one of my minor points is
pickle dip.
Okay, so like dill reminds me of pickles. Sue me. I'm sorry. Like dill pickles are the most popular kind of pickles.
Yeah, but
in any case, dip. I'm like,
who makes pickle dips?
Is it dill or is it like oniony? There's this weird savory kind of like, I don't know how to describe it except like there's like a ranch dressing note going on in here somewhere. And I'm getting weird wafts of it in between like these nice waves of oak and brown sugar and caramel. I don't know what to make of it, dude.
Does your wife make onion dip as well?
Probably. I'm not a big raw onion eater. I like caramelized onions, but I can't bite into a raw onion.
I like a good red onion on a burger, but white onions, yellow onions, raw, not so much, man.
Do you know where I don't like onions? Is
on
in
your whiskey.
My whiskey. Yeah. So I'm going to be a little bit muted on this because I don't know where this is going. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 on the nose, Brad.
I'm actually with you. I'm at a 7 out of 10. And the funkiness that I was picking up, I think you're right. It's an onion vibe that I don't know. It's not in the realm of vegetal like a scotch might be. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting. The palate on this doesn't stray too far from the nose. It is oaky. There's like Sour Patch Kids kind of vibe going on. The funk kind of sticks around. I don't know if it stays as onion, but there's a weird vibe to this that I'm not totally jiving with.
Dude, do you know what it has?
What's it got?
It's got the Willet funk. This is like, you could set this down next to some Noah's Mill, and I'd be like, oh yeah, this is totally made by Willet.
Yeah,
it's got that like that weird, funky, dusty note paired with some floral. Like on Noah's Mill, for me, it's always rose. This has that. And I will say, like, for being 107 proof, there's really not much prickliness on the palate. It's a very muted kind of warmth. Almost like if you are drinking like a Coca-Cola and you leave it sitting out and then it goes flat, it almost has like a flat whiskey vibe. And I don't mean to say that it has no flavor. It just doesn't have that sort of like alcohol prickliness that you typically get. Now, the flavor itself, I'm going to differ from you, Brad. I think this is fantastic. It's super rich, really, really syrupy. You said Sour Patch Kids. It does remind me of like when you suck all the sour off of the red ones and you're basically left with like Swedish Fish at that point. It's got that like cherry candy syrup vibe to it with a nice undercurrent of oak. I like this quite a bit. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 on the palate.
Dude, you're just naming all the things I hate. Swedish Fish. Oh, one of the worst candies ever made.
Do you just hate the Swedes? Maybe that's what it is.
That might be it.
You don't like IKEA? You don't like Swedish Fish?
That's true.
You know?
I do like a good horse meat meatball, though. Get down with that.
Sure, but not a dill pickle. Horses.
Not a dill pickle.
Good.
2 thumbs up. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 on the palate. I really don't care for this that much, Bob.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think the finish kind of continues that. For me, it falls into like a cherry cough syrup oak vibe that is just kind of not quite bitter, but it's just kind of this like blech type of a finish. I don't know if that's a good auditory example of how I feel about it, but I'll give it a 6 out of 10 on the finish. I like this starts in kind of a weird place and it dips into a meh kind of place.
Life is full of choices, but the choice between getting crispy chicken nuggets or a Crunchwrap Slider isn't one you'll have to make. The new Crispy Chicken Crunchwrap Slider at Taco Bell. All white meat chicken nuggets, breaded in tortilla chips, wrapped up, sauce and all, inside a slider-sized Crunchwrap. Choose from creamy chipotle or jalapeno honey mustard. Well, there we go. Life, still full of choices. The new Crispy Chicken Crunchwrap Slider. A brand new classic. Only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time and while supplies last.
Hey, Sal.
Hank, what's going on? We haven't worked a case in years.
I just bought my car at Carvana, and it was so easy. Too easy.
Think something's up?
You tell me. They got thousands of options. Found a great car at a great price. And it got delivered the next day.
It sounds like Carvana just makes it easy to buy your car, Hank.
Yeah, you're right. Case closed.
Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Yeah, I don't know how to sell this because I do like it, but like all of my tasting notes, if you read them, you'd be like, that sounds kind of gross. Because it's that combo of like savory and sweet, almost like at Thanksgiving when people will sometimes put the cranberry sauce directly on their like turkey. And so you get the combo of like meatiness and fruit. Like this is cherry and almost wheated bourbon notes coupled with this kind of like beef consomme French onion soup note. And I don't know how to explain that sort of salty savoriness that goes with the cherry. It does work for me. But if that sounds super gross to you, I can totally understand why. On the finish, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It is a little less long lasting than I would like it to be. It's kind of short for a 107 proof whiskey. But overall, I think the flavors that are left behind are pretty complex, and I do like them. So I'm at an 8 out of 10 here, Brad.
I'm at a 6 out of 10 on the finish. And I think balance-wise, I'm at a 4 out of 10, Bob. I think that this just... nothing works. All the flavors are kind of discordant and they don't create a great experience. I'm at a 4 out of 10, man. This one is not working for me.
I get it. This one definitely feels like the biggest experiment we've gotten from Bardstown in a while. And I don't mean that in that like it's the most ambitious one. I think that's probably the Cathedral French Oak, which is one of the best whiskeys we've ever had on this podcast.
Yes.
This is an experiment in that it's like a big swing. And I have a feeling that for a lot of people, it's going to be a swing and a miss. Now, I mention the Cathedral French Oak because this is part of the same series, this distillery series that they only sell in these 375 ml bottles, and you can only get them from the distillery unless you are shopping from a trusted retailer online. Now, I believe the MSRP on this, Brad, do you have it pulled up?
It is $99 for the 375. So I think for our audience, we're just going to call this a $200 bottle of whiskey.
Well, and as with most of the distillery reserve stuff, if it sells as fast as those other ones have, it's going to be $200 plus just for the 375. So we'll take it at the MSRP value, but you're probably going to have to spend more than that to try this. I don't think this is bad, but I wouldn't call it the top tier of the Distillery Reserve series yet. I'm going to give it a 6.5 on value, Brad.
Yeah, if I'm thinking about this as a $200 bottle of, $750 bottle of whiskey, this is like a 4 out of 10, man. It's not working in the vein that I want it to. And I hate to say it, but like I drank this the other day with a buddy of mine and we tried it and we were like, that's really interesting. And then we drank like a somewhat cheap bottle of scotch and we're like, I would rather drink this any day of the week.
Wow.
So I'm kind of in a place where I'm out on this one. Now I will caveat this as always. I love Bardstown Bourbon Company. I think they make incredible whiskeys. That Cathedral Oak finish is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had. Their Discovery stuff is really good. I like across the board. I love Bardstown. This is just one of those experiments that I don't quite vibe with.
Yeah. Now, I realized I did not give my overall balance score. I'm going to call that a 7.5, which brings me out to a 38 out of 50. Brad, I have a feeling you're going to be significantly lower than that. Where are you out on this one?
I'm at a 28 out of 50.
Wow. All right. So that's taking us to just a 66 out of 100 or a 33 out of 50. Now, even though you gave it a low score, I kind of like the 33 out of 50 mark because it is like just a touch below where we start recommending a whiskey. And I think that like thematically, that makes a lot of sense because I recommend it, you don't, and we both acknowledge it's going to be very iffy on if people get down with this one or not. So I think that 33 out of 50 kind of speaks for itself about the divisiveness I'm going to see in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that once again, Bardstown makes great whiskey and that's the beauty. They experiment and they try new things. And this is a limited release. If you want to try something from them, just wait for the next one. It's probably going to be incredible.
All right. The whiskey has been gotten out of the way, and that means that it is time for us to dive into this bracket. Now, we only have 3 total matchups today, Brad, so I think we can talk a little bit more in depth about our thoughts on each movie and the matchups in general. But let me cue my dramatic sound here. It's time to get into the bracket, Brad. Can you walk us through the first matchup in our final 4 films?
Yeah, we have 1977 Star Wars, a film that is beloved for one of us and misunderstood by the other. We have 1954's Rear Window, which is one of Hitchcock's greatest films. I would say that it almost gets lost, though, in the breadth of films that Hitchcock has made. And so I'm glad that it is here representing, because I still think that this might be, I don't know, is it his best movie?
It's this or Vertigo for me. And maybe that's a good starting point. So I subscribe to this newsletter called The Reveal, and it's 2 movie critics that are working through a countdown of the top 100 films in the Sight and Sound list that came out a couple years ago. And they have a very long back and forth. Like they're like corresponding with each other. And one of them will like ask a question about the movie and the other one will respond. And a couple weeks ago, they landed on North by Northwest. And they were both very surprised that it would be in the Sight and Sound poll, not because it's a great movie, but because especially that international crowd that votes on that award really tend to like high art movies. And so they're like, if any movie really encapsulates Hitchcock's kind of Hollywood entertainer vibes, it's North by Northwest.
Yeah.
And so they both had to kind of reckon with like, do I have implicit bias for movies that feel more artsy or feel more weighty? And have I been ignoring North by Northwest's place on this list? And I think that they both kind of referenced Rear Window as a movie that I could see that being on the list even before North by Northwest, because at least you have kind of the technical craft of being confined to a space and seeing how the camera is utilized in that space. But I think a lot of that still applies to Rear Window, where Vertigo has been kind of fawned over critically the last 20 years. And Rear Window is always like, yep. And that's one step below Vertigo for me.
Yeah.
And the more I watch Rear Window, the more I'm like, it's a different kind of movie, but it is every bit the equal of Vertigo. And it's really similar to like when we watched The Apartment, which is my favorite Billy Wilder movie, and then we rewatched Some Like It Hot. And it's like, okay, it's a different kind of movie, but you can't tell me that it is any less the equal of The Apartment. I really think that in the absence of Vertigo here, Rear Window and 12 Angry Men are the closest things we have to two perfect movies, however you want to describe that, both in the effect they have and in the sort of like clockwork precision with which they move. And so I guess that would be my opening argument as to why I'm just a no-brainer going to take Rear Window in this debate.
Yeah, I was wondering where this monologue was going, Bob. I should have known.
You should have known, man.
That you were just
It was a good monologue, though. You got to admit.
It was a great monologue, Bob. I think Rear Window is a perfect movie, nearly a perfect movie. The ability that he has to help you feel claustrophobic and yet like open, like you feel like you're included in this New York courtyard, that you kind of have a life here with the people, even as Jimmy Stewart is, wheelchair bound for the duration of the film. It's so much craft and story, and it's compelling. I'm with you on Rear Window, man. It's incredible. I do think that I was listening to you and I was like feeling myself like, yeah, Rear Window, man, it's incredible. And then in my head, I was like, well, what makes Star Wars Star Wars? And I just heard the opening theme and my heart just leapt with joy. And I'm like, Rear Window can't do that. Can't just think about the soundtrack from Rear Window and I have an emotional response. I think that there's something to be said for a movie that absolutely set the stage for what an epic movie could be for the rest of cinematic history. Mm-hmm. I think Star Wars still holds itself high. It was my number 2 vibe choice, and for a reason. I think Star Wars is going to be my pick here, Bob.
Dude, I went back and listened to our last episode, obviously, because I had to edit it. But you were like, Vertigo's moving on. And then I made the stupid decision of saying like, do you feel pressured to do that? And then you were like, screw you. Star Wars is moving on. And it was that. I wasn't even trying to rile you up. I was really asking you a genuine question. And you immediately flipped to Star Wars.
Yep.
And I just need you to know that you ruined everything. You have ruined everything, Brad. Because I just know that we're going to end up with back-to-back-to-back coin flips here, and Star Wars is going to come out the champion of this season against my will.
And it'll be forever to your shame. I mean, if it makes you feel better, like Pulp Fiction won our first time around for this season.
That's true.
So,
yep.
And it was your number
one pick for the vibes list here, too.
It was.
And I will say, if we're just comparing scores, like, Star Wars runs away with it, both because I don't really remember much of the actual score from Rear Window, and because once you get into the movie, there is no more score. Yep. Like, it's just diegetic music. So, like, John Williams wins by default, but also because it's one of the best movie scores ever written,
Ever written. Yeah.
It elevates what I perceive to be a kind of middling movie to the heights of, like, pretty good.
Yeah.
But can a great score cover a multitude of sins is the real question before us, Brad. And that means that we have to flip the coin of destiny. Now, as we've established, the coin of destiny, he has a slight lean to him. Brad, as you described it last episode, a slight lean towards heads, right?
It seems to be the case.
Yeah, and I guess that means that Rear Window is heads because it is the higher ranked film among the two. So Rear Window will be heads, Star Wars will be tails. For a spot in our championship, Brad, flip that coin.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese, best thing ever.
This episode is brought to you by Palmolive. Family time isn't just the big moments. It's weeknight dinners, sitting around the table, everyone talking all at once. So when the plates are empty and the sink is full, use Palmolive Ultra. Palmolive's most powerful formula removes up to 99.9% of grease, leaving your dishes sparkling clean. And the new convenient pump makes cleaning even easier, so you can spend less time tackling dishes and more time together. Shop now at palmolive.com.
Bob, I hate to tell you, it brings me a lot of joy to see you sad. It also, it hurts my soul a bit. I've known you for a long time. But we have another Tales coming up for my boy Star Wars.
I hate you so much, dude. This is an outrage.
The highest a number 16 film has ever gone in our bracket, Bob.
Yeah. And it's just because you've manipulated things.
Manipulated is a strong word.
The fix is in here, man.
I stand by my vibes list, Robert.
I am fairly certain that we've had like 9 Tales in a row now, too, which does not bode well because if there's a coin flip in the championship, Star Wars is automatically the Tales in that matchup, too. So I'm preparing myself to be heartbroken at the end of this episode. And it's all Brad's doing. And I think that is a perfect segue into the Brad G Awards. Every season, Brad just makes up a couple awards that he wants to give out.
Sure
because
do.
A lot of times he's watching these movies for the first time, and there's certain things that stick with him throughout the season that I would just never think about. And then he gives it an award at the end of the year. So, Brad, I know that you've been hard at work on these awards. So I'm going to turn it over to you to present the Brad G Awards.
Bob, before we started this podcast, we were discussing, what we would want to talk about and how we would want to do it. And we kind of landed on this idea of movies and whiskey. And we said, let's do a test episode and just see what it's like. What movie did we choose for our test episode, Bob?
Brad, we chose the eternal classic Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
In the spirit of Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, I have 3 awards to give out today. The first of which being the That Escalated Quickly award, which is the movie that took the hardest left turn. We have the Milk Was a Bad Choice award, which is the movie that has aged the worst. And we have the 60% of the time, it works every time award, which is for the movie that shouldn't really work, but man, it just does.
I'm really glad that you didn't pivot towards You Are a Smelly Pirate Hooker for Brad's least favorite female character. That'd be hard to sell,
That'd be a tough one, man.
Oh, man. All right. I'd love to hear the winners. Do you have a nominees list or is it just one film for each?
I honestly am open to whatever we decide. So let's go to
I love it.
That Escalated Quickly. I do have a nominee that I would like to argue for the movie that took the hardest left turn. And it has more to do with how I watched the film. I would give this award to Sinners, given the fact that I stopped watching it right before the vampires came on screen. I mean,
you did.
I hit play a few days after I paused it. And literally the next thing I saw was him jumping over the camera and landing on the field in front of the farmhouse. So for me, I think the hardest left turn was Sinners.
I'll give a couple nominees, just scanning our list of movies from the year. Inglourious Bastards, when they actually start blowing up and burning down the theater, and then you just see Hitler's face getting blown apart with a machine gun. That escalated quickly.
It did.
$1 Million Baby. The worst placed stool in history is all I have to say there. That really, that took a hard left turn. And then I suppose you could do at least 4 different moments from Pulp Fiction. You could do the Gimp. You could do Mia with the heroin. You could do, oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. There's a lot of moments that escalate very quickly in Pulp Fiction, Brad.
Of these 4 options, I think let's just assume that we're watching these movies with absolutely no knowledge of the film going in. I feel like $1 Million Baby would be the hardest left turn. Because that is so far and away not what the movie's about. Clint has lulled you into this sense of Ron Howardness that you're like, yeah, this is just like, an Apollo 13.
It's gonna be so good. Yeah.
It's, it's just like this Cinderella Man type of movie. And then it's not. So I think that's my vote. Where are you at, Bob?
I think I'm in the same place. Pulp Fiction may have crazier left turns, but the fact that every story is designed to take that left turn, you come to expect it a little bit. $1 Million Baby truly catches you off guard, man.
Yeah. Pulls the legs right out from under you.
All right. So, Paul Haggis and Clint Eastwood, come collect your That Escalated Quickly award from Brad G.
All right. Our second award is Milk Was a Bad Choice. What movie for you, Bob, has aged the worst? Or even maybe not a movie, but acting performance, a line from a movie. What's something that has just aged incredibly poorly?
I think my two, it will be no surprise to anybody listening to this. My two nominees would either be Star Wars, which I think has just truly aged poorly.
Wow.
Brett, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, this is cheesy. The effects are bad. The added CGI in the special editions is actually aging worse than the original miniature work. That one aged pretty badly.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that.
Yeah, man. I think my second one would be Fight Club, which is a movie that just has never worked for me. And I think the farther we get from it, the more we can understand why people misunderstood it and how it captured a generation of Gen X bros. Those are my two nominees.
I guess, my nominee is Singing in the Rain because nobody likes Singing in the Rain anymore.
Clearly it's Singing in the Rain, dude. All right, what are you thinking, man?
I mean, I'm proud of neither of us for saying American Beauty because I feel like that or Green Book would be the two that everybody else would vote for.
That the woke mob would come for?
100%, man. I honestly, I made this award and then I'm looking through it and I'm like, I don't know if any have aged extremely poorly for me. You know what? I will give the award to One Battle After Another because it's aged pretty poorly since it came out 6 months ago.
Last year. Now, 10 seconds. If you have to think about this longer than 10 seconds, we'll just move on. But Milk Was a Bad Choice could be the circumstances under which you watched the movie. So, it was a bad choice for me to start watching The Assassination of Jesse James at 11:30 at night or something like that. So is there anything in this list that you're like, it was a bad choice for me to watch this movie on this day or at this time?
Not one that comes up for me right off the hat. I would say Shawshank Redemption. I remember watching Shawshank at 5 a.m. for that episode and being like this is pretty dour start to the day.
Yeah, dude.
That was a little rough, even as enjoyable of a film as it is.
All right. Well, we'll give it to One Battle After Another because that's the spiciest take I've heard yet today. So, Paul Thomas Anderson, on your way back from the Oscars, stop by Brad's house.
All right.
And that leaves us with just one Anchorman award left to give.
It is the 60% of the time it works every time. And it's the movie that shouldn't work, but just does. And I think there's a few options for this award. I think Cinderella Man could fit that. You just have a lot of things going on that make it seem like it shouldn't be great. And yet for you and I, it transcends all that. But I am going to go with a movie that if I just described the plot to you in 2025, 2026, you would say, Brad, never make that film. And it's a movie where a man with a mental handicap goes on a journey across Americana and experiences all of the most important events of the 60s and 70s, the entire while pursuing a woman who does not want him, uses him, and gets AIDS and dies.
Yeah.
I think that's a movie that shouldn't work, but man, oh man, does it work so incredibly well.
And that movie is called Singing in the Rain.
That's right.
Yeah. I think that Forrest Gump is a good nominee here for sure, because you're right. The pitch meeting on that one has to be absolutely wild. But the extent to which it works is also up for debate. I think that's a good movie. I think my nominee here would probably be Green Book, a movie that did come out in this political climate and did meet a whole bunch of resistance because of it. And despite all of the very valid criticisms of Green Book, a damn good movie. I get misty at the end of that. But I don't know what to tell you, man. I think it works. So that's my nominee.
I'm with you, man. I think Green Book is a great choice for this award.
All right. What are we giving it to Green Book or to Forrest Gump?
I think Green Book is the choice. That's a good one.
Nice. All right. Peter Farrelly. I don't know what the hell you're doing these days, but you can come. You probably actually do have the time to come to Brad's house and collect your award for 60% of the time. Brad, what a fantastic Brad G awards list that was. I like it.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, man. Let's get back into the bracket. We have the matchup on the right side of the bracket. I'll turn it over to you for the intros, Brad.
Yeah, we are looking at Sidney Lumet's absolute classic, the 1957 12 Angry Men, versus one of Bob's all-time favorites, recently dethroned. He does not love this movie anymore. 1942's Casablanca. Bob, let me just tell you what happened to you. Or let me ask you, what happened to you, man? You have been a ardent Casablanca defender. I walked away from our last episode shook.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because for so long it was my default answer for what's your favorite movie of all time. And that the older I get, the more I've realized, like, maybe it's Jurassic Park, maybe it's E.T. And Casablanca is still up there for me, but it may not be my favorite anymore. And so Can
I just tell you, I was having a meeting with a donor last week, and he said something about, like, we were talking about movies, and he says something around like, yeah, it's movies that are like just fine and they're kind of fun to watch every once in a while, like Jurassic Park. And I was like, whoa,
I don't want your money anymore.
I literally went off about Jurassic Park for like 10 minutes.
As you should, dude. That guy's not giving any more money.
Literally, at the end of it, he goes,
like, Brad, why did we lose our biggest donor? You're like, don't worry about it.
It was incredible.
Oh, man. Yeah, forget that guy. All right. So we're talking about Casablanca, though. And I do think that there are some small flaws with Casablanca. It is about as perfect of a script as you can possibly get. But I do think it hits a little bit of a lull in the middle. Now, 12 Angry Men is a movie that we have both said multiple times is as close to perfect as you can get in what is essentially a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
I believe in the episode we said that there were 300 different camera setups across that movie, which is just staggering. And when you think about the fact that it's Sidney Lumet's first feature film, it's like, how could you do better than that? I think if we're looking at the IMDb scores, 12 Angry Men does rank higher than Casablanca at this point. It's in the top 10, maybe the top 5 on IMDb. Now, again, this is our list, so we can do whatever the hell we want. I'm really torn, man. I think my heart still says Casablanca because I could never throw Ingrid Bergman and her beautiful face into the fiery abyss.
Yeah.
But I think if we're just talking about like the mechanics of a movie, 12 Angry Men might barely edge out Casablanca. So where are you at on this one?
Yeah, I mean, Casablanca is number 47 on the IMDb Top 250. 12 Angry Men is number 5.
Wow.
It is one of the very few films with a 9.0 aggregate score, which is really wild. And I think it does speak to what happens when you take a really beautiful script, you tighten it up, and you put them in this claustrophobic room, and you have, like, I think there's a version of this movie where, like, they take it and they do a oneer and, like, just follow everybody around, and, because it's in one room, it feels very contained. But I think the choice to go on the far opposite end of the scale and use as many different takes of the exact same room as possible, it really works for a film that is trying to establish how viewpoints can change. when you add more information. Yep. And so I think I'm going to vote for 12 Angry Men on this one, Bob.
Wow. I think that the only thing for me to do then is to say Casablanca, because I'm so close on these movies.
Who's an agent of chaos now, Robert?
I think I was going to vote for Casablanca anyway, but it seems more poetic now to force the coin flip. Yeah, man, it's really hard to say Casablanca should go in the abyss, because if your argument for Star Wars is like, I can't think of a movie that influenced cinema more, Casablanca is top 5 on that list for sure. Like it's freaking Casablanca, dude. What else can you do? I think that we're going to do a coin flip. And what does that mean in terms of the seeding? 12 Angry Men is the 2 seed. Casablanca is the 3. So Casablanca is in the privileged position of tails here. Brad, for a spot in the championship, flip that coin.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
Gary the Snake.
And your last name?
The Snake.
Dream Team. Get new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home. Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG. And right now you can get Disney Plus and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 3 months with a special limited time offer. Ends March 24th. After 3 months, plan auto-renews at $12.99 a month. Terms apply.
Your little one grew 3 inches overnight. Adorable. Also, expensive. Sell their pint-sized pieces on Depop and list them in minutes with no selling fees. Because somewhere, a dad refuses to pay full price for the clothes his kids will outgrow tomorrow. And he's ready to buy your son's entire wardrobe right now. Consider your future growth spurt budget secured. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
Robert, we have set our finals. We are looking at 12 Angry Men versus Star Wars.
Man, no Casablanca, no Vertigo. I can't believe that I have to advocate for 12 Angry Men to win our bracket now, because there's no way I'm going to advocate for Star Wars to win this bracket. F that, dude.
Well, luckily for you, Bob, we have a little bit of time before we get there. Because we have our, they're not quite annual. What would you call it for an every 32 weeks?
Seasonal?
We have our seasonal awards that we're going to be giving out called the Filmies.
Yeah, these are pretty simple. It's just really based on how do Brad and I appreciate movies versus the general population. And so there's really only 3 awards. There's the most overrated film, the most underrated film, and then the most divisive film, which is the film that Brad and I were the most divided on. Now, Brad, I have told you not to look at a specific tab of our shared Google sheet here, because this is where I have it all listed. So I would like you to try to guess. Let's start with the most overrated film. This is the film that had a much higher rating by the general population on IMDb versus where Brad and I landed on it, which is much lower. Brad, where would you think we would be giving out the most overrated film award?
Oh, man, I have to think. I mean, part of me wonders if it's Sinners or One Battle, because I was pretty low on One Battle, but I don't think the overall IMDb score for One Battle is actually that high. Like, I want to say it's like a 7.5. So I can't imagine it's that. We're going ones that we scored low and the population scored high, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Man, we've just watched so many great movies this year. It's really hard to say. I'll say Green Book, because you and I are higher on Green Book than the average person.
Brad, you have fallen victim to one of the classic blunders, and what that is that
starting a land war.
You forget that sometimes one of us can give a score so low that it affects our average score, even if one of us likes the film. And that is exactly what I did by tanking our final average on the film Fight Club, which I believe has like an 8.8 or something on IMDb. And in our average, it only came out to a 6.75. So we were a full 2 points out of 10 or more lower than the IMDb score on Fight Club.
Man, and I think I gave Fight Club like an 8.5 or a 9.
Yeah, and I gave it a 5. So suck it, Fight Club.
Goodness.
I don't care. Yeah.
Bob, that's insane, man. I honestly was wondering if like the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford might hit that because of me. I forgot that you occasionally like to tank things as well.
And the thing is, you came all the way up to a 6.5 out of 10 on the assassination of Jesse James this time.
Yeah.
Where the IMDb average is only a 7.5. So we really weren't that far off on that one.
Sure.
All right, now let's flip the script because it's time for us to talk about the most underrated film. This is the film that Brad and I loved more than the general population did. So, Brad, as you scan this list, keep in mind how average scores work at the end of an episode. What do you think is the most underrated film of the crop?
Oh, man. Honestly, I think only my brain and heart is immediately drawn towards Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, because I know you and I just love that movie, and I think we gave it 10 out of 10 just for nostalgia and, in the world of comedy, I think it's a perfect comedy. So my brain goes towards that. I think you and I are both still higher on American Beauty than the average population. Green Book would fall into that category. I think I will go ahead and say Anchorman is my guess.
I like it. It's a good guess. It's wrong, but it's a good guess. Now, I think with this award, a good rule of thumb to keep in mind is like if you and I are both giving a movie a 9.5 or a 10, we're already separating ourselves from the IMDb score because the highest ranked movie there, it has like a 9.1.
Right.
So in that case, you and I gave a film a 10 and a 9.5 for a 9.75 average that only has, I believe, a 7.6 on IMDb. And that film is 1961's West Side Story.
Oh.
So we were over 2 points higher than the average on West Side Story.
Wow.
Now, despite your hatred for musicals, I do think when I see West Side Story and then 7.6 next to it, I'm like, all right, guys, like that seems a little low.
That is a little bit low. I gave it a 9.5. I really like West Side Story. It's not like my jam that I'm going to turn on once a year, but 7.6 is pretty low, man. That's an absolute classic.
That's a travesty is what we call that.
Yeah.
All right, Brad, it's time for the last Filmy award, and that is the most divisive movie of season 10. Now, we actually had surprisingly more divisive movies than I expected, between ones from the past that one of us hated, ones from now that we have changed our tune on, and then also contemporary films that definitely did not work for Brad and only kind of worked for me. So what is sticking out to you as the most divisive, Brad?
I mean, I think I gave One Battle a 4 or a 5, and you gave it an 8, I want to say. So that immediately sticks out to me. I came up on Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford quite a bit. I can't think of many other movies that we were like super separate on. I mean, Star Wars, I gave a pretty high score, and you are wrong. So I'll go ahead and say Star Wars, knowing your lunacy.
Well, once again, Brad, your memory continues to be faulty and very short because the most divisive film is very obviously Fight Club, David Fincher's 1999 turd of a movie that I gave a 5 out of 10 to, and you gave an 8.5 for a full 35% difference on our scores out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie sucks, bro. It's not a well-made movie, and I don't understand why people like it.
Bob, Fight Club is a incredibly well-made movie. It has a very interesting message, and there's a reason people really like that film.
And that message is, come pick up your award for the most divisive, David Fincher. We'll see you soon. Brad, we have a championship matchup to get to here. And I don't know if you had given us 50 guesses about what the championship matchup could be, that we would land on these two movies.
Sure. Yeah, I think that Star Wars is the dark horse that was always meant to be. If I was still a Calvinist, I would have said, yeah, this is as God intended, Bob. But you have it up against what I think the general population would say is a true worthy contender for the throne in 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. Now, you had the IMDb top 250 pulled up a minute ago. I'm wondering, if you still have it up or still have it handy, where Star Wars Episode 4 ranks on that list. It's got to be top 10 or 15 for sure. I want to say Empire is more highly rated, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
But we're talking about two beloved films here.
Yeah. Star Wars Episode 6 is at 93, so still the top 100. Star Wars Episode 5 is at number 15 overall with an 8.7. And Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, is at number 29 with an 8.6. So it does make me feel a little bit justified to say, Bob, this still has an average of an 8.6 on IMDb, which is nothing to sneeze at. It is right below Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
There you go.
I feel like we're in good company here.
As it should be. Let's be honest here. Terminator 2, significantly better than Star Wars episode. You gave that movie like a 9. What are you talking about, dude?
It's a great movie, man. I kind of want to go back and watch that and Aliens again.
Oh, dude, so good. I need you to just tell me before we start talking about these movies anymore. Are you voting Star Wars here?
Yes.
Okay. I will give you as much time as you want to try to convince me or to try to defend your choice here. Why Star Wars over 12 Angry Men specifically?
Man, if there was a movie on this list to compete with it, I think it would be Pulp Fiction and 12 Angry Men, because both movies to me stand out as just visionary usage of craft. I think for me, though, Star Wars is what stands out. When you look at what they did for film, for the industry, in terms of miniature usage, even in the realm of CGI, like what Lucas was willing to do to advance the world of CGI. And I'm with you. I think that the special editions from the late 90s, like the CG doesn't stand up great, but you wouldn't have any Pixar and like these modern CG marvels if you don't have Lucas pushing for it with Episode 4. Beyond that, I think that you have you wrap this classic hero's journey in a inimitably fun and interesting framework with great actors who I think are doing a great job. I think Alec Guinness is absolutely wonderful as Obi-Wan. You have Han Solo is like one of the greatest rogue characters of all time. Harrison Ford just starts his career off with a bang and goes on to become one of the highest grossing actors of all time. There's just so much about Star Wars that works that it continuously amazes me how much angst you hold towards Star Wars. What did Star Wars do to you as a child, Bob? That's what I'm curious
I do love
about.
that you phrase it as angst, and when it's more of just like, I don't think about these. They just didn't work on me to that extent. And I think the clunkiest one is Episode 4. Now, I need to make you clarify here, because even in your defense of Episode 4, you used the word they a couple different times to talk about the Star Wars movies, plural. And I'm wondering the extent to which you are using Episode 4 as a representative for all of the Star Wars movies and the sort of revolution that they ushered in, because I only want to focus on Episode 4 here, because I do think it's clunky. I think they really ironed out all the kinks for Episode 5, which is a much better movie than Episode 4. And when I look at how clunky I think Episode 4 is up against a movie like 12 Angry Men, this would be a much more difficult choice if we were talking about Empire, but we're just not. We're only talking about A New Hope here. And I get that it kicked it off, and I get that it ushered it in, but it is a materially worse film to me than probably either of the other two in the original trilogy.
And I like the other two. I always go back and forth between 6 and 4, which one I like more. I like 5 is the clear best of the films. I would say, though, Star Wars sans the other two. If the other two had never gotten made, I still think Star Wars stands up as one of the greatest films of all time. I think that it struck a chord with the American public, and it would stick around in the public consciousness, even if Lucas went on to make other movies and do other projects.
That's a good point. There's a part of me that wonders too, like if that had happened, how much would it personally have affected you though? Because any movie that, if you look at all the movies throughout history that broke the record for highest grossing film of all time, whether it's Gone with the Wind, Sound of Music, The Godfather, Jaws, and then after Star Wars, it becomes E.T. and then Titanic. Those movies all had major cultural impact in the 10 to 20 years after they came out. And then as generations come out, you just have less of an attachment to those. And so even a movie like Titanic, I find myself defending to people more than I thought I would have to, because that would very personally affected me as a kid seeing that movie. And I still think it's like a nearly perfect Hollywood movie, but there's a distance now that young kid, there's no like Titanic cinematic universe that is bringing people on as new converts to that movie the way that Star Wars is. And so it's hard, because as much as we want to mentally divorce episode 4 from the rest of the Star Wars franchise and universe, you really can't. Like, the prequels got their hooks in you. And because the prequels got their hooks in you, the original trilogy was able to get an audience with you.
No, it was the opposite for me. I grew up watching the originals. Yeah. Like in the 90s before they came out. I remember seeing the prequels in theaters. But I had the VHSs. I had the special edition VHSs. Original trilogy, man, got its hooks in me.
Yeah, well, and it's just frankly better than the prequel trilogy is. So like, I'm good with that. But I guess my point still stands, though, that it's really hard to divorce one entry in a franchise from the impact of the rest of it, especially since it's now a multi-generational franchise. The only thing that's like that in the history of movies is like James Bond, where your grandpa could have been going to see new James Bond movies, and now you are too. The MCU hasn't spanned that time frame, and so we don't know if it's going to have the staying power of some of those other franchises.
Yeah, Mission Impossible would be close, but even that's only 30 years.
30, yeah.
Yep. So, yeah.
All right, dude. We've delayed it long enough.
You're just making the argument for me, man. This is Star Wars through and through.
No, I'm trying to say, I think you're lumping 9, 10, 11 movies and some TV shows into one movie.
Bob, do you really think I'm lumping the TV shows between the Star Wars holiday special and everything Disney has made?
I will say there are some critics that I really respect that say that Andor is the best thing Star Wars has done since like Empire, and that people should be watching it. And I've never watched it, but I might get around to it.
I'll never get around to it, mostly because I don't watch TV anymore.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, Brad, we're talking about movies and we're doing a coin flip. So Star Wars for sure is tails because it's the 16 seed. 12 Angry Men, the objectively better film, is going to be heads. Brad, for the championship of season 10, flip that coin.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Bob, when you started this season, did you have any idea that you would have to be playing the John Williams theme music? Because Star Wars is our number one film of season 10.
Just before we recorded, I took a shower because I want to look nice on camera, you know. And as I'm stripping off my clothing in the bathroom, I have...
Whoa, this is a R-rated episode.
Yeah, dude. I have YouTube Reels going, and it was just a clip from an episode of The Office where Michael Scott is having casino night, and he asks Toby if the Boy Scouts are coming to receive their check. And Toby's like, no, I didn't think that'd be a good idea because of the alcohol and the gambling and because it's school night and because it's in our dangerous warehouse and because Hooters is catering. And then he says, is that enough or do you want me to keep going? And Michael just looks at him and says, why are you the way that you are? And then he says, I hate so much about the things that you choose to be. And Brad, I don't know if words have ever applied more to my relationship to you in this moment. You chaos agented your way from the round of 16 all the way to the championship via coin flip. You had to flip the coin every single time. There was no good argument made. And yet you still got your way. It's infuriating.
You know what I have to say to that, Bob?
What?
Ba-da-ba-bum, bum, ba-da-ba-bum, bum.
I hate this. We're done. The podcast is over. This is the last episode.
This was all just a gimmick to tell you guys that we're done with the podcast.
We're done. We're not friends anymore. Yeah, it's over. Now listen, Star Wars, I will give you your kudos. You are the season 10 champion in at least one of our hearts. And Brad, on that note, I think the only thing left to do is to very quickly walk through our top 5 whiskeys of the season, which were definitely something that we had more of a consensus on. I'll go really quickly through these because we've already tried these whiskeys multiple times, and 3 of our 5 are from maybe our favorite distillery in the world, and that is Glenmorangie. At number 5, we had the Glenmorangie 10. At number 4, the Glenmorangie Nectar de... Number 3 is the Glenmorangie Quinta Reuben 12-year, which I immediately was like, oh, that's going to be number 1. No, it was only number 3, and it was defeated by 2 whiskeys that we tried for the first time this season. The number 2 was the Jack Daniel's twice-barreled American single malt that we tried, which came out to a 44.25 out of 50. And at number 1, the Pursuit United Triple Mash Rye, which I'm super happy to say is number 1 because we love those guys at Pursuit United. And I respected the swing of them sending us that sample with a note that said, we think this is the best whiskey of the year. And then they were right. It was the best whiskey we had this season.
And that was like it. That was the only sentence in the letter. It was like, we think this is the best whiskey ever made by human hands. Cheers. And I was like, all right, call your shot, man. Good job, Kenny.
The balls on these guys. Yeah, couldn't believe it, man. But they were right. And so we have our ultimate pairing of film and whiskey for season 10. Our champion, Star Wars, A New Hope, and Pursuit United Triple Mash Rye. And that is our final Let's Make It a Double for season number 10. Brad, it's time for us to get out of here for the day. It's been almost an hour, like you said it would be. I want to turn it over to you just for 30 seconds. Final thoughts on season 10 and what you're looking forward to in season number 11.
You know, I found myself as we went through this season so glad that we took the time to like review a whole season. I don't think we'll ever do it again, but I think it was worthwhile. And I think season 1, we had no idea what we were getting into before we started. Man, oh man, we started with a heck of a group of 32. Especially when you think that we took Goodfellas out of this. What were the other 2 movies that we had already reviewed?
Yeah, I can't remember. There's a couple of them, though.
Yeah, we just had a really great grouping of movies. And it's been so much fun, man. You said that this took an hour, but in all reality, Bob, this has taken 7 years. Like, we have built up to this since 2019 when we put out a preview episode of Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy that sounded like it was recorded in a barn.
Dude, I was just telling someone yesterday about our first marathon recording session of season number 1, where we did 4 movies in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And the only mic we had to record with was a conference call microphone that sat on the table in between us. It's like, we've come a long way since then, for sure.
Yeah, really, the preview for this season should have been like audio from the Anchorman original episode and then like morphed into audio from us today.
The crystal clear. Yeah, exactly. I'll just say real quickly, you know, we started season 10 as kind of a bonus content thing back in 2023. So if you listen to some of these recent episodes, you'll hear me saying in 2023, because they were originally released as bonus episodes for our Patreon patrons. And we told them at the time, eventually these will become the episodes for season 10. And so I think we knocked out about half the season ahead of time via audio so that we could start implementing video in the meantime. And so this season in itself has been almost 3 years in the making. Brad, as always, man, this has been just like, it's so much fun to do this podcast with you. It's so much fun to be able to have a little community online that follows us through it. We are going to take a couple weeks off here across April, but we will be back in May with season number 11. Brad and I are finalizing our list of movies for season 11. I'm really excited about the ideas we have for it. Dude, I can't wait. I'm ready to take a couple weeks off and come back fully energized for another almost year-long endeavor here with you.
Dude, it's been such an absolute blessing to go on this journey, to watch over 300 odd movies with you, drink a ton of whiskey, go to cool places like New York and Kentucky. And it's just been a blast, man. It's a wild time. Also, just for you guys, the fans, like, we have patrons out there who believe in what we do enough to give us money, which is wild. Thank you. We have fans who come onto our Discord and have conversations with one another. It is really just an absolute blast to be a part of this. And I feel really thankful today.
I love it, man. You're just thankful because you won all the coin flips. So,
I mean,
you know, on that note, guys, we will see you in May for season number 11. We may or may not have some bonus episodes in the meantime for you. You know what? Like, give us a couple weeks off. We've been posting every week for 7+ years. So we might just take a couple weeks off here, guys. But on that note, that wraps up season number 10. Let's go ahead and sign off. Until season 11, I'm Bob Book.
I'm Brad G.
And we'll see you next time.